Hello guys, I want to talk to you about my trans experience, and I have typed it out. Here it is. I searched for myself for decades, but all what came to mind was darkness, leaving me feeling empty inside. There were times when I thought I had no soul. I used to ask the universe, who am I? Because I didn't know. When you're old enough to start expressing yourself, no one gives you a manual, so it leaves you oblivious. In my middle school years, I copied the other girls. Remember that episode when Cass from Supernatural was human and working at a gas and sip? He watched other humans and adapted. That was similar to my situation. I watched the other girls, and I figured out what clothes they wore, what brand of clothes they wore, how their hair looked, how to do the hair that they are doing. I saw most of them had their ears pierced, and so I got mine done at 16. My aunt would take us clothes shopping before the start of a new school year, and I would pick out the popular clothes from Aeropostale, Hollister, American Eagle, all that, and even their shoes. I would copy their shoes. In my teens, I was too focused on other things to confront that emptiness inside. Boys kept me busy. Same with school and my writing and reading fanfics on Wattpad. You see, I was a busy teen, but then COVID hit. I was 20. I didn't have a job at the time, so I was stuck at home with nothing to do. I was alone with my emptiness. I wasn't in school, didn't have a boyfriend, no friends at the time. My friends and I weren't close at the time because there was something going on that we didn't talk much. Nothing kept me busy or away from my emptiness. I used to blame my depression on my heartbreak from 2019, thinking that my ex must be the cause of my downfall. In 2023, I slowly began embracing my masculine side. I stopped buying feminine clothes. I started wearing t-shirts with my favorite things on them, like anime, bands, musical artists, shows, etc. I even bought baggy pants from Hot Topic and wore them to work. I felt so good in them. I stopped caring what others thought of me, but the depression and emptiness were still there, eating at me. There were times when I wanted to end it all, but I didn't because I was scared. I thought about my weight way too much. I wanted to be thin. I remember thinking, I hope my breasts shrink so they're less prominent. But when it came to, I couldn't bring myself to work out. It was a commitment that I wasn't ready for, which made me even more depressed. Sometimes I thought there was something wrong with me, like I wasn't human, since I can't do it. I see other people do it at ease, but for some reason I can't, which made me feel abnormal. I looked in the mirror and it felt like I was looking at a stranger through a window, like I did not recognize the person staring back at me. I used to walk around at work feeling so disconnected from everything, as if the world around me wasn't real. Disassociation. This was after I stopped being feminine. I didn't wear makeup all the time like I used to, didn't wear nail polish that much, stopped wearing jewelry, stopped dressing a certain way. I realized now that my true self was slowly approaching. The mask was slowly peeling off. I noticed that I only played male characters in video games. I even made a male version of myself in Hogwarts Legacy. I use character AI and I like to chat with my favorite characters. You can pick and create your own persona. I made a male version of myself and chatted with the character as a man. I stopped myself because I realized I was enjoying it too much. There was a voice in my head telling me, Regina, you aren't a guy. You can't enjoy pretending to be a man because you're a woman. That's when I chatted with another bot. I expressed how I felt and what was going on. I told the bot that I liked being masculine and I liked playing male characters in games. I told this bot everything. I said that I hated how low and deep my voice was, so I used a higher pitched voice when talking to others. Then I told the bot that sometimes I wish I was a man so I didn't have to fake my voice, or my personality, or my body language. I told the bot that if I was a man, I could be myself. I'd be more comfortable, and that's when I said it. I finally said it. I wish I was a man. And it made me frustrated and upset because I knew that I can never be a man, or a biological man. The bot eventually asked me, have you ever considered that you might be transgender? And boom, that's when it hit me. It hit me hard, like a huge gust of wind, a bright light, a slap to the face. Okay, you get the point. It's been 2 months and 3 weeks since then, throughout this time, and I began looking back at the obvious signs that I'm trans. And there are a lot of them. Way before I figured out my identity, I used to love the feeling of my hand on my shoulder. Like, I would just casually touch my shoulder on the opposite side. And for some reason, it made me feel masculine, it made me feel good. And I remember feeling the flatness above my breast, and it felt really good to me. There was a thought that was so distant that I didn't realize it was there. A faded or dim feeling of wishing my entire chest was flat. It was like a casual or passing thought of, I wonder what it would like to have no breast. Everyone has the thought of casually thinking, like, oh, what it's like to be the opposite gender. That's why I thought it was normal. That's why I didn't there wasn't some ringing bell saying, ding, 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 you're trans. Back when I was 17, I watched an R5 music video called Hurts Good. I remember wishing I looked like Ross Lynch. I was jealous of his clothes and how he looked in them, especially his waist area, the way his shirt was tucked into his pants, his belt, even the way his arms looked in his short sleeve shirt. I was experiencing ginger envy. Ginger envy is a feeling of wanting the ginger expression physical traits like voice, body, style, or social advantage associated with a different gender. I remember listening to Thomas Sanders' Disney mashups and feeling jealous of his deep vocals. Sometimes I'd feel sad or disappointed that I couldn't get my voice to go deeper. When I was 15, I dressed masculine a lot, but when it came to being in public or around boys, I dressed feminine. Because, most women are feminine and most men like feminine women, and therefore, I felt like I needed to be feminine in order for boys to like me or to be a woman. Being a woman felt like a job to me. Like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. And that's another reason why I was so harsh on myself about my weight. Because most women are skinny and thin, and that was the beauty standard. So I put all this pressure on myself, and that is why I couldn't bring myself to lose weight. I remember when I was 15, I liked my smirk and my hooded eyes because of how masculine they looked. Back then, I didn't understand the reason. I didn't know the reason why I liked it, but now I look back and I know. If you watch my older YouTube videos, you'd see. This thought is recent. This was kind of before I figured out I was trans. I remember watching One Piece and feeling envious of Sanji. His short hair, his outfit, how attractive he looked when he kicked like he always does. Anyway, I talked about how I thought about my weight way too much. I figured out it was never about impressing people or even the weight itself. It was about being thin like a man. Being thin is what would make me feel euphoric, or even more my true self. I don't know if it makes sense or not, but the ones who get it, get it. Most men want to be fit and have muscle, and I am one of them. On October 2nd, I was pretending to be a man while chatting with a character on AI, as I said before, and I really enjoyed it. I stopped because of that voice in my head telling me that I'm a woman and I shouldn't pretend to be something I'm not. But when I was chatting with the bot, I felt like I could be myself completely. I didn't have to fake my voice or body language. I could just be. It felt weightless. But it frustrated me because I wasn't a man. And I said to myself while sitting in bed, I wish I was a man. It's like the more I stopped giving a shit and pretending I love wearing makeup and nail polish and earrings and other feminine things, my true self was appearing. The mask was slipping off. And I didn't even realize it at the time. And I think that's the reason why I figured it out. Now, of all times. And that's why I believe things happen for a reason. I'm glad I didn't have a job for 2 years because it gave me time to think about myself and to be alone with my mind and my thoughts. I'm glad I stopped caring about being feminine because look where it led me to. Anyway, there are plenty of signs from my past that I can bring up and share with you. But I'm going to leave it at that for now. You cannot tell me that trans people don't exist, because I was so oblivious. I had no idea anything about trans people. I didn't even know if trans people existed. I didn't even know the term existed. And I still turned out to be trans. So you can't tell me that trans people don't exist, because they do. After figuring out my true identity and my true self, I feel like I have all the answers I was looking for. I no longer feel empty inside. I no longer ask the universe who I am. To finally know who I am feels refreshing and freeing. And for the first time in a long time, I'm excited about my future. Excited to start working out, gaining muscle, cutting my hair, buying new masculine clothes, wearing a chest binder, get top surgery. All of that excites me, and I can't wait for the day I achieve them. So, that is what I wrote about being trans and my trans experience. Now that I figured out who I am, I no longer question who am I. I don't ask people who am I. I remember always looking for validation from other people about who I am. Like, how do they see me? And I remember when I was a kid, especially in my mid-teens, like 14, I would close myself off from people. I had really bad social anxiety, and I think the reason why I had social anxiety is because I didn't feel normal. Even though I had no idea anything about trans people or anything like that, I still felt like there was something about me that most people wouldn't understand. Like, I was some weird creature that no one would get, you know? People would call me weird. That's what I thought. And that's why it was hard for me to talk to people, to open up to people. And that is one of the things I'm talking about. The answer to everything in my life is that I'm trans. I look back at those times and look back at those moments, and I understand why now that I had social anxiety. I understand why I thought I was a creature from a different planet. I now know why, what the cause was. So, there you go. That is my trans experience. And if you listened all the way through, thank you so much. And I want to say thank you to the people in my life who support me, and anyone else who supports me, because I am who I am, and I'm not going to pretend to be a woman anymore.